Wait until you see me trying to strut my stuff in this dress. Need to go to modeling school for that to work. It didn't. Hi, I'm Myrna. Thanks for joining me in my studio. Today I am wearing a dress. And you'll see more details. It is called the White Wendy dress. It's not white. The reason it's called that is I love to draft patterns from existing garments, to go to a consignment store or a thrift store, find something that's a designer piece and draft the pattern and sew it. This one, I didn't buy the dress, a lady named Wendy did, and it was white. And I asked her if she could please take it off so that I could trace the pattern, and that's what we did. Going into the video, there's the strutting my stuff, and then there's all the how-to, and then there's the goodbye. And I never talked about what I'm doing next. These are my fabric cabinets, and I think in between what I'm sewing next, I'm gonna pop in a video of what I'm calling my new scrap and remnant system, because I've tweaked what I already said in a previous video, which is hilarious because I only have 2 previous videos. I also need to make a quick trip to a nearby town, probably about an hour and a half away, because where I am going is on the far side of town. I have had nothing but bad luck with sewing machines for the last couple of years. I had a very old 1020 Bernina that I bought used years ago. I think I bought it after my daughter, and she will be 39 in December. Let's say I've had it for 40 years, and I literally wore it out. The metal pieces that control the stitch length are gone, and I spent forever, a lot of money, a lot of different trials trying to find another machine that would work like that machine. It was amazing. Oh, by the way, I woke up this morning with an eye infection, so hence no beautiful makeup for the strutting my stuff. I would have liked to, it would have looked better. I also didn't finish the necklace that I want to make to go with this. I want some long fuchsia beads with something in the middle. So I've got the bead part, I just need to figure out what the something in the middle is. Anyway, this machine is being loaned to me from a friend, and I think she's basically given it to me. But it didn't come with the button holder because she had loaned it to another friend before that, and we're not really sure where the button holder is. My next project is a button-down shirt. It is very similar to this one, which also just needs buttons. This one has a lovely cuff with pleats. The pattern I'm sewing will be this one, but I'll show you more next week. And this is a little dog coat I made for Callie out of remnants, but it also needs a buttonhole for the leash to go through. So I need to go get a button holder from the Bernina store in Kelowna. All right, the rest of the video, at the end I say goodbye, but I'll say goodbye now as well, and thank you so much for watching my videos. I have been stunned by the reaction and very grateful. Thank you. It's lovely to be able to share what I know and hopefully to support and encourage you with your sewing. Let's just have lots of fun. Like, we don't need fashion police or rules or anything like that. Let's just have lots of fun. My pattern pieces are pretty rough. I've only sewn the dress once before, so I haven't traced out a final copy. The bottom layer, the center layer, and the top. The 2 bottom layers are knit. No, they're not. The 2 bottom layers are woven fabrics, and the top layer is knit. So this is my very bottom, my middle. This middle fabric is very thin, so I don't believe I have enough to cut it double. I will either interface the back with something like fusee knit, or I will spray baste it to another fabric and cut them out as one. The top layer is a knit, and this knit is actually a t-shirt. It is the same pattern that I showed you in my last video. What I'll do is take apart the side seams to just past the underarm, and then I will fold it on center, lay on my pattern piece, and cut this out. This top and this dress were drafted from the exact same basic t-shirt pattern, my T&T t-shirt pattern, and so I know that this is all perfect. I just need to get the length and the angle, and because this is very full, I have more than enough for that top angle of piece 1. So piece 1 at the top is pretty well sewn. Cut out the middle, cut out the bottom, and carry on with the project. I really liked this top when I had it, and I wore it a lot. I often wore it with a pair of black and white wide striped pants with kind of a, I guess, clownish type look. Very fun. But I noticed I haven't been wearing it much lately, and the reason is I'm just bored. I just noticed I didn't turn on the light. We'll try this and see what happens, and then if it's not good enough, I'll do it again. So I'm looking at what can I do with what I have, or does it need to move along? So my own very limited closet can sometimes be the source of beginnings, as it is in this case, and other times, nope, not so much. Either way, it's fun. My head is probably chopped off here, but that's okay. When I chose these fabrics, I chose them for the color and pattern as opposed to the weight. And both the bottom one and the middle one are a lightweight linen that is just a little bit too lightweight. So I've decided to back them with this polka dot fabric, which was the lining from the bubble skirt, the remnants. The important thing when you're doing that is to make sure that the lining, the interlining I think is the correct word, and the top fabric are exactly the same to the pattern, and that you haven't distorted anything. I thought it was fun when I held this up that you can actually see the polka dots through it. It's kind of like a little mystery in there. What I do is I make sure that this bottom fabric is entirely correct. And then I lay the pattern piece down, still pinned in place, and I start to remove the pattern. Now the one on the bottom is correct. So I work my way around, first with the corners, pinning that fabric to the lining. And then once I have the 4 corners pinned, I take off the pattern. I pin the corners only through one layer. The bottom one. I take this pattern off. And then I carefully pull this layer over. Now this section is accurate, so I'll immediately go around and pin it in place, and I won't do the whole thing because that'll be really boring for you. So I'll just pin these 2 sides. Then usually the one that's on top is the one that will be distorted. So I smooth this out to the best of my ability, and then I take the pattern, I line it back up at where center was, pin those places, and now I'm going to adjust this so that it matches. From corner to corner. At the middle and go to the corners, and then go down the side. And then you do that until the piece the front fabric and the lining fabric are exactly the correct shape to the pattern. Pin all the way around. Where did I throw that piece? Well, that's hilarious. Ah, here it is. Pin all the way around, and then what I do is I base quite close to the edge while the pins are in, remove them, take this to the serger and finish the seam edges. And then you just treat this as one and sew it into the garment. I'm doing this for center front back and lower front back. The top part is the knit, and that is more than enough. My screen is showing in the mirror, but it's way too far away for me to see what this looks like. So I just got to this stage. I kind of have it on because it was the t-shirt, and I really do not like this middle panel. So I'm not in a rush. If I leave that middle panel in, this will barely make it to my wardrobe maybe, because I won't wear it feeling uncomfortable like that. I have 2 seams, 4 rows of top stitching to take out, and then I can replace that panel before I go ahead and sew the back one on. I don't know if I have something in my stash that's going to work here, but I'm going to go take a look. Hi, Kelly. I like this combination of fabric better, but I'm not sure I'm okay with the width. When I originally sewed this, the bottom 2 fabrics were softer. In this case, I've substituted a very light handkerchief linen for a high quality quilting cotton, so that's a lot stiffer. And with the underlining here, that also gives more stiffness to the bottom. I kind of feel like I'm carrying my luggage. I'm going to take this in somewhat, still curved, but just bring that line in so that it skims a little closer to the body. I don't want to eliminate it entirely, but maybe to about there. So that's what I'm going to go away and do, and hopefully you'll see this finished at the beginning of the video. I also want to say I am not going to apologize in any videos for the fact that my hair's a mess, or I have no makeup on, or I don't have the right shoes, or any of that stuff. If it bothers someone, see them later. But my reality is that I don't do the whole spiel every day. You know, I do it when I'm dressing up the outfit at the end, but not every day. I have some, this is probably in the way, isn't it? I have some pictures to pop in here just so you can see what I'm talking about. I measured on the outside where I thought I wanted the seam, and then I used markers, pins, to create a seam line that came from just under the arm and around to the point that I wanted the biggest, and then back into the hem. I had to keep in mind that I have to be able to walk in this, and I have to be able to get it over my hips, because this is a dress that goes over your head, and my hips are my widest part. So the hem has to be squiggleable. It can't be too tight that it won't happen. I did notice when I put it on Millicent, my dress form, that perhaps her hips are bigger than mine. It seems that walking my dog has had some kind of impact, maybe on circumference. So I need to measure that. That took me a couple tries to get that line where I thought I wanted, and frankly, I could keep on tweaking forever, but I've decided instead to put it in the wash and then soften it that way, hang it up to dry, wear it a few times, give it a little bit of a life, and then see what I think of that. What I did is, on the first side, that line that I drew with chalk, I stitched on that line. Then I marked and cut 5/8 of an inch away from that to create the seam allowance. I took the piece that I cut off, I flipped it over, and I aligned it with the opposite side. And I made a new chalk line along the edge of the cutoff piece. That new chalk line is not the stitching line. It is now the cutting line. I pinned all along that line, and then I cut off the excess fabric, stitched a 5/8 inch seam, pressed it, finished the seams, tried it on, thought it was a huge improvement, but as I said, I could keep tweaking forever. She's in the wash, she's done. I'm really happy with the changes I made. That side seam adjustment was probably about another hour. The changing of the middle fabric was maybe 20 minutes. I realized when I was taking it apart that I could rip the two seams apart, and I only needed to take out 2 rows of top stitching, one on the upper section and one on the bottom. So it was a little less than I thought. And well worth it. An hour and 20 minutes, well worth it for a garment that is now closetable and can go into my wardrobe and I will wear. I'm looking forward to styling it, which you should have already seen at the beginning since this is the end of the video. Thanks so much for being here. See you next week.